Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Kansas City jazz saxophonist Dave Panico. Originally from Chicago, he has called Kansas City home for quite some time. We caught up with him in mid-May 2020 to talk about his career, this new COVID-19 world, and the future, along with much more. Enjoy.
Cool. I was thinking, I'm glad you called. It's cool, man. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. How you holding up? You're here in Kansas City, right?
That is correct.
Everything's opening up a little bit. I mean, I'm talking to people where things aren't happening, and I'm out right now, and I see life is kind of trickling back into orbit, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, things are starting to open up, and still you got to proceed with caution because, I mean, we're not over with this thing. I mean, it could flare up all over again.
Yeah, let's just keep our fingers crossed, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I know you're a busy cat. Talk to me a little bit about when you started recognizing in mid-March, kind of with your itinerary, how things were starting, like the dominoes were falling.
That's kind of where it started. The show started getting canceling, and then it's just, you hear about it, as far as, then the state officials were saying, okay, no more than 10 people. Then they're saying no gathering. So, and as a precaution, it's just a good thing. So I've been, working slowly doing online stuff. I did a live show a few weeks back. So even at church, I go in and record, and then they just do that for their online services. It's a whole different kind of a different thing now. So.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing. It's all about adapting. People are finding ways to stream. I guess the best thing for consumers to do is to actually buy the music instead of streaming, correct? Right.
But now everything is free streaming, so it's really hard to make music now these days. I mean, now I did get a check from CD Baby, I was surprised that somebody actually was downloading my music, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Talk to me a little bit about your beginnings. How did everything start for you? I imagine you're from Kansas City, born and bred.
Oh, wow. If you want to go back to, originally born and raised in Chicago, lived in the city for about 8 years, then moved out to the suburbs for another 20-some years. So when I was about mid-20s or something, we moved to Kansas City. Actually, it was more like, about in 88, we moved out to Kansas City. So, I took a love for clarinet when I was like 10 years old in grade school, and I just kept it up. I really liked clarinet. My parents had some old jazz records I used to listen to, some of the big band era, 1940, Tommy Dorsey, Jimmy Dorsey, Benny Goodman, those kind of cats. So it's kind of cool. I really got a jazz influence. I always loved the sound of a jazz clarinet. So I just kept clarinet up, and when I got to high school, the teacher noticed I had a really good jazz influence. They wanted to get me in the jazz band. So they said, hey, we got a baritone sax sitting around nobody's playing. Why don't you take it up? So I started playing baritone sax. And that's kind of when I started playing sax so I can get in the jazz band. So I started playing that. Then I eventually got an alto and tenor sax. And I started using that for churches back in the Chicago area, played for some of the bigger churches. And then me and the wife decided it was time for a change out of the Chicago area and moved to Kansas City. So then things started opening up more for solo opportunities out here. I noticed I was doing more solo stuff in churches for ministering. And then I decided, well, let me just kind of play some music, record my first CD, and then just started getting out there to some of the jazz clubs, festivals, and that sort of thing.
What about mentors? Who have been big mentors for you?
Wow. I can't say I had really a one-on-one mentor, but I sat in with a lot of great jazz people. Like remember in high school, and remember like some of the. I went to the Chicago area. Band director back then, Gregory Tips. He came from Northern Illinois Jazz Band. They had a very strong jazz program, so they would come and do clinics with us. I attended some of the jazz clinics a couple of years in high school during the summer. I went to college. Played in the jazz band and through college. I was in Bradley University. And just recently down here, I played with the big band down at, Californo's, I believe it is, down in the plaza, Brad Gregory. I got to sit in with them one time. So just over time, just got to sit in with a lot of great people and just had some really good jazz. I had a jazz teacher for a while who was a bass player here. He kind of gave me some jazz insight on how to make chords kind of blend good together. So it's just you pick it up here and there and listen a lot and play a lot. I used to just pick up the radio, turn it on, and start playing, kind of copying what they're doing and following where they're going along.
Talk to me about your beginnings here in town, kind of the gigs and things that started taking off for you.
When gigs started taking off, it was probably when I was more in Kansas City. I recorded a CD, and then I just kind of put my name out on the websites. I started calling places, and then people says, yeah, I started calling churches. That's where I kind of first started. I was just focusing on the churches for ministering opportunities, and a lot of churches were opening their doors. I was playing in churches almost on a regular basis. It was really kind of nice. And then one day, I just started getting that door started closing on me. So I said, okay, well, then I had to start looking outside the church. So I looked at some of the jazz club. Tim Whitmer, who's a big jazz pianist in town here, when he owned the Phoenix, he was really nice enough to let me to sit in on Thursday nights at the Phoenix. So again, some great group of people. He said, come on by and just sit in. So I got to sit in there, and people were like, man, where have you been? I haven't heard you before. I just told them I've been playing in church all these times. So, and then I got connected in with some of the local music though. At that time was King Cat Music was around for a while. So I got connected with a lot of independent artists. I started playing coffee house gigs, started doing festivals, private parties. My name's out there on various websites, so I get calls from here and there. I got a call to go to Atlanta one time to do a gig, which was that was a really cool gig, and doing some jazz. Played at several years ago. Played at the Miles Davis Jazz Festival in the St. Louis area. I played Arrowhead Stadium for a private fundraiser. So yeah, there were some kind of cool gigs that opened up from that.
So, right now in this era of, no live music, what memories, magic memories on stage, performing with others, what kind of memories are you drawn on right now to kind of keep your wits up and kind of keep your, just to stay positive?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, there's many. Man, wow. I get a lot of positive comments from people who listen to my music. I mean, let me see if I can bring some up here. I always love playing with live with a live group. We played gigs on the Plaza, which was really cool. We played some church gigs. We just felt there was something special going on there. Like here's some comments. I suppose I should have come along here sooner and let you know how much I appreciate your music. First of all, your music is so inspiring. The kind of stuff that helps you get through really rough days. Your Breaking Free is my favorite. I'm absolutely speechless about it. Please keep up the brilliant work. It's people like yourself that keep music alive. So here's I just want to thank you for your existence. I'm not able to find words for the feeling I have when I listen to your songs. So those type of things, help me to know, okay, I should keep doing what I'm doing. It is making a positive difference in someone's life, which is good. But I love interacting with people. I love performing with a live band. It's always good to have that, the guitar player I have, when we played live gigs like at the Plaza, we would always go back and forth, sax and guitar. I grew up listening to a lot of heavy metal music, and I always tried to incorporate heavy metal sax leads on the sax. I know it sounds a little crazy, but when I used to play with some guitar players, I would just kind of scream like they would, and they would freak out. It's like, wow, this is cool.
That's awesome. Let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger self when you're starting to play professionally. What advice would you give your younger self?
Probably don't hold back, take more risks, maybe have more belief in yourself, and just kind of keep pushing through.
Why do you love jazz?
Jazz is kind of like you're painting a picture for the moment. Like when you're out there improvising, you're painting a picture that you never heard, fans never heard, and it's only going to come out once. It's never going to come out the same way twice unless you really have it all memorized, note for note. And there's so much you can do with it. You could blend the chords differently to create it's like a painting, mixing different colors to come up with a very cool idea. Where rock and pop music is very simplistic, which is a lot of fun to play. But when jazz, you can do a lot of cool things, and it's something I feel I'm constantly learning. It's something you never really learn fully. It's something. There's always something new about it.
What do you see in Kansas City's future for recovery? How do you think this town is going to recover from this?
It's going to take people who believe in the music, like this year, which is I find is very disappointing. The Plaza got a new director, from what I was told, and he canceled all live music at the Plaza, which is something that's been going on for forever. So that really puts a big dent in the music scene. It's really sad that people just kind of feel that way. The venues are there. I don't know, it's going to take somebody who's just going to, who has like a big venue and say, hey, we want to invite independent artists. I would love to own a venue where I could have independent artists come through. I know Coffee House Gigs did that for a while. Right now, I think there's a lot of opportunity in private events, private parties. I mean, definitely festivals, but you really have to know the people, or, it's very selective on who they pick.
What do you love the best about Kansas City? What is it about this town that you love?
Well, coming from Chicago, it's easier to get around than Chicago. I mean, you have everything in a smaller area. People are great. It's a great city. I mean, because you have everything. You have performing arts, you have sports, you have everything, but you don't have all the congestion we had in Chicago. That's one of the things that we had. Just commuting in Chicago was really a pain. And cost of living is a little cheaper, too.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. So we are going to get to the point where live music will return. What do you hope both the musician and the crowd realizes about this time away from live music?
I have to have a greater appreciation for live musicians, live music, and hopefully the demand will go up, saying, we really miss this when people want to get together, hear some really good, positive music. Yeah, it's good to hear it streaming, but it's nothing the same as when you're hearing it live and you're interacting with the music. One thing I love to do when I perform is interact with the crowd. I love to go out there and start playing in the crowd. I tell you, they love it. I played several times at what's that blues club down by the river? I can't remember it. Knuckleheads. There are times I'm just jamming, I just go out into the crowd, start jamming. These people go crazy over that. So they really love that interaction with live music.
So finally, everything's going to come down to this. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you're living your life. Who do you think you are?
Well, first of all, I'm one of God's children, favored by Him, loved by Him. He directs my paths, and I want to share that through my music with, His love, the positive influence He has through the music to others, so they can experience that as well. So I feel music for me is also a mission rather than just playing music, but it also has a mission there.
Great answer, man. Hey, I really appreciate you taking some time out. It's great that we ran into each other, and I have a renewed vigor for seeing all of you Kansas City musicians when this is all said and done. So I look forward to meeting you and seeing you perform live.
Definitely.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Chicago, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Dave for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.